everyone, Enrique here. Welcome to another video. I'm sorry that you won't have a review this Friday. Like I said, I'm still getting over an illness that I just managed to battle over. So, because of that, I couldn't find the time to record more things, and I needed to rest my voice because, it's very hard. The second reason is I was supposed to plan for a review about Super Sentai, but the websites in which I managed to see those shows are now being taken down. I assume by Toei and by Tokusatsu because after all, they're not legal. But regardless of that, I could not find any more videos for that. So unfortunately, I have to put those on a stop. So new reviews about Gosuger and Bokenger, I'm gonna have to wait. And the third option is because this was so recent, I decided to do a reaction and thoughts on the latest trailer for Avengers Doomsday, which is one of the most talked about movies, for now at least, in which we see the returns of some of the major players of the Avengers into this film alone. We see the returns of Chris Hemsworth as Thor. We see the returns of Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, aka the original Captain America. But more importantly, Robert Downey Jr., not as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, but as Doctor Doom. So, with all that being said, let's talk about what we see in this trailer, what assumes is going to be the story, and how each character is going to play a major part into this narrative. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy my reactions, and after that, I'll break it all down.
Something's coming. Something we may not be able to deter. Before this day is done, we shall be faced with an unthinkable decision.
Oh God. The incursion that Xavier and Doom know.
I've fought with many warriors in my time.
New Avengers?
They were far stronger than all of us put together. And they died. They died facing enemies and threats that scared me far less than this one.
Oh Jesus. Cyclops! Shang-Chi! Gambit! Nice.
Everything that they sacrificed will be for nothing
Okay.
if we do not stand together. Put aside your petty squabbles. And presume nothing except this. If you return, you will return as brothers and sisters.
Oh my God.
But mark my words.
Uh-oh.
We're going to need a miracle.
Hey, pal.
It's not possible.
Oh, it is. Avengers Doomsday. The first trailer. Oh, and the countdown continues. Alright, so now that you see my reactions, let's try to break it down in trying to figure out what is going on with this story. So it's pretty much a focus on pretty much what is about to happen. There's an incursion coming. With the multiverse saga, it shows us different types of universes. We saw the return of characters like the Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, and Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds. We saw another dimension where the Fantastic Four are regarded as the only heroes in that universe, and we have the MCU version. So this trailer shows us that with this incursion incoming, three universes, and probably more so, are about to collide into one place, probably causing a destruction. We see that Thor is taking command into the this new team. He's forming this new set of teams from different universes, the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, some of the original heroes that were supposed to be the Avengers that Sam Wilson created, now that he's the new Captain America, alongside Shang-Chi and Ant-Man. And now we see Thor rallying up the people in order to figure out how to stop them. We see that Letitia, right, as Shuri, and M'Baku, who is the new king of Wakanda, are talking to Namor, or Namor if you want to be specific, in the fictional place Talocan, which was supposed to be Atlantis, but DC rights, right? But regardless, we see that they're talking to him, and he's most likely going to be a threat. But more importantly, we get some additional shots of Doctor Doom, small ones, but we see him almost in armor, and we see him also being voiced. In this case, Robert Downey Jr. is using Eastern European accent, similar to Doctor Doom's accent from Latveria. And it shows us that Doctor Doom, it's pretty much a foe that could be causing all this. And if anything, he is proving to be a match to guys like Thor. And he stops Stonebreaker, right on his tracks with his fingers, which shows us the kind of power that he has. Now, other things that we've seen, the return of Loki, still with the TVA, although last time he was in the big tree of the multiverse, in which he was holding up together with his powers. And more importantly, we see the return of Chris Evans as Captain America, of the original Captain America, Steve Rogers, be able to wield Mjolnir. So that's pretty much what we saw in the trailer. We also get some shots on the original MCU characters fighting off against the X-Men, which is going to be a major factor into this movie. So let's try to break it down to see what I think. A lot of people have their mixed reactions. Some enjoy this trailer, others are unsure and kind of worried that this trailer is just going to be nostalgia fodder, or just similar to what we saw in the 2023's The Flash. There's just nothing but cameos. Well, though, to be fair, that movie was none of that, but it was still really bad. And most people are still worried about the CGI, the effects. I'm working with CGI, so I know it's not easy, but yeah, it has a lot of people worried. But now let's talk about the story. So obviously, Doctor Doom is from the universe where this new version of the Fantastic Four come from, the universe Earth 828. So my assumption is that Doctor Doom is going to come from that universe. I assume that he has kidnapped little Richard. Sorry, what was the name? Reed Richards. No, that he's gonna kidnap Reed Richards and Sue Storm's kid. Franklin Richards. Sorry, I almost forgot. But yeah, I assume that he kidnaps Franklin Richards from the Fantastic Four. Maybe they start learning that he jumped into another universe now that he has the ability to do so, and he's about to cause a lot of damage. In the case of the Fantastic Four, they travel to the MCU universe in order to find out what's going on, and maybe along the way we meet Thor, in which he now learns about this new threat that it could be could be a danger to the entire multiverse, not just his universe, as well as now that he's a father, he has to take care of his own daughter, and now he has to figure out what to do. So he joins with the Fantastic Four. Maybe along the way they manage to get Steve Rogers, who proves to Thor that he's the authentic one. And my assumption is that this is the original Steve Rogers that has been traveling through through different timelines, or this is a different one in which he probably has something to do with Doctor Doom kidnapping one of his family members, maybe Peggy, maybe his kid. We saw that he has a baby in the trailer, so that could be a thing. This is important to mention. I noticed during the social media that there have been a bunch of kids being cast into this new film. So I assuming that this is going to be a major part into Avengers Doomsday, which is going to be something related to Doctor Doom. What about Steve Rogers? Well, I'm going to assume that this is going to be like not a cameo, but more like he's going to be part of this and he's going to try to help as much as he can. But he, of course, is not going to be Captain America. That title he relinquished to Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, or the new Captain America. So I assume that. I also assume that they're going to go to the new members of the Avengers. Maybe Sam Wilson pops by into the Avengers towers. Maybe has some back and forth with, Bucky, who's now part of the new Avengers alongside Yelena, Red Guardian, Ghost, and of course Sentry, and of course US Agent. So my assumption is that he's going to meet those. I'm going to see that this scene is going to involve all of them. We probably going to see Steve Rogers seeing this new version of Captain America and the US Agent, and maybe make some snarky comment saying, "Huh, you kind of look like me." It says, "Oh no, I'm the US Agent, and my shield is like folded like a taco." I don't know. I'm gonna assume there's gonna be that, but I also going to assume the reunion between both Bucky, Sam, and Steve. So this could be good. And my assumption that with the speech that Thor is giving to the rest of the team, that this is going to rally them up into joining forces in order to stop this new threat. What about Namor and with Wakanda? I'm going to assume that he knows about this threat as well, but he's not going to help their heroes, but if anything, going to help his own people and betray them and the drop of them out of a hat. I mean, Namor is always been considered to be a guy of an anti-hero, a guy who always plays both sides, whether he's a hero or whether he's a villain. And assuming that the Fantastic Four are going to be here, we can assume that he's going to have a scene with Sue Storm, who's played by Vanessa Kirby. And I'm going to assume that it's going to be very important into that moment. But this is the most important part about this trailer, that we are shown scenes of the MCU Avengers and teams fighting against the X-Men. There are rumors that they're going to say that the X-Men are probably responsible to do this for this incursion because of the many changes in the timeline. My assumption is that it's going to play a part in which the X-Men have no idea what's going on, and they're fighting this set of Avengers in order to prevent it from destroying their universe. Because in many respects, this movie is based on the original, or not the original, into the 2015 comic book version of Secret Wars. Secret Wars was an important part for the Marvel Universe because it was a culmination of the Ultimate Ones, the Ultimate Universe, and the and the Marvel Universe. It was supposed to be the collision of two universes created into one, but under the rule of Doctor Doom. So, assuming that you have read the comics, you probably know what this movie is going to end up with. So with that, we see a lot of scenes of the characters fighting each other. We see Gambit fighting Shang-Chi, which should be awesome. and Yelena fighting Mystique, assuming her form. But more importantly, we see that there were a lot of sets of Avengers and Sentinels fighting alongside the X Mansion. We get a scene between Charles and Magneto. It's good to see Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen back. I know a lot of people are going to criticize this because many people see the point, they don't see the point of bringing the original 2000s X-Men back here when we know that there's going to be a major reboot. And if the City Sings character is any indication, then maybe that's going to be the jumping point for the new team of X-Men. But in this case, try to see it in this point of view, if that helps. That this is trying to give a culmination to that era. Like, they know that the actors are aging up, they know that they need to move on, and we all know that the story of the X-Men is far more larger than the ones that we got in those movies. But trying to look at it from the way of trying to give this universe the final bout. I know that we have so many other movies like Logan and others to say, hey, this is the final goodbye, we're no more. This Days of Future Past, in hindsight, felt like the culmination of that era. But see it in my point of view, and I see it like we have so many bad X-Men movies. I'm not gonna lie, we got so many terrible ones that it's hard to say which ones are good, which ones are bad, or which ones are consistent with each other, because there were so many inconsistencies. And my hope is this movie plays into those and tries to make a commentary of, yeah, we changed the timeline so many times that we don't know how we ended up in this place. And maybe that was one of the reasons for the incursion, alongside maybe what Spider-Man did in No Way Home. But regardless of that, it's just, I want to see this team at the very least one last time. I'm not looking for any big insights. I just want to see Patrick, Ian, I want to see James Marsden, Rebecca Romaine, Kelsey Grammer, Alan Cumming, all play these characters one last time at least, and to say goodbye in order to let, and you know, I'm going to spoil this for you because this is probably going to happen, and we know that because I saw Infinity War. That Doomsday is going to culminate with Doctor Doom beating them all. And I'm going to make the prediction right now that Steve Rogers is going to betray them. And I know this is going to piss a lot of people off because Steve Rogers is the good guy. And we saw what happened when they do the Hell Hydra stuff. But I'm going to assume that this is going to be different because probably Doctor Doom had a hand into it. Maybe because he has the face of Tony Stark. I mean, after all, you have the same actor. Might as well play into that. And probably he's gonna say, I'm sorry Thor, or I'm sorry everyone, but I have to do this. We're gonna assume that a lot of characters are going to die in this one as well, because if you're playing a major movie with higher stakes, you need to play into those expectations. And with that, I'm going to say that it's gonna end with Doctor Doom closing an incursion that destroys all the universes but manages to recreate ones into one world called Battle World, which is in the comics. And it's going to be him be God Emperor Doom, taking Susan Storm and Franklin Richards as his family, create different variants of worlds, and be the ruler there. And if that's the case, then it's going to take a lot of people, and in particular, one little funny, well, not funny, one little spider to bring them all together. That's my prediction. That Doomsday is going to happen, and then when the incursion happens and Doctor Doom creates Battleworld and becomes God Emperor, that some of the heroes who remain, maybe Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe some of the young Avengers, and most likely Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, leading the charge in order to fight this God Emperor Doom. So that's my assumption. One day I'll probably talk about it when we get to Secret Wars, but until then we have to wait. So overall, I enjoyed this trailer. It wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, but I'm hoping that this can create some goodwill so it can be shown to people and say, okay, this was amazing. But I'm also worried as well because we have so many MCU movies. Some of them were flops. A lot of the Disney shows were not doing so well. And given what Disney has been going through over the years, it's making a lot of people skeptical. And yeah, to a degree, I'm also skeptical as well. But here's the thing: I'm still a Marvel fan. I'm still an MCU die-hard fan. Not to the point to say, no, if you don't see this movie, you're dead to me. No, no. I know a lot of people have their own tastes. I have my problems with those movies. So I assume that this could be, if anything, a good reset button, so we can put everything into one place, and maybe one day we'll divert into other territories. So that's my hope. But what do you guys think? Do you enjoy the trailer? Do you have your worries? Let me know in the comment section below. With all that being said, I'm looking forward to see this movie. I'll see you with a new review. So until then, I'm been Enrique. I'll see you next time. Peace.